back to Fan and Flame Dates, and today we're at Ducky's Boats here in Middletown, Pennsylvania, and they've allowed us to get aboard of this beautiful Pantera speedboat, and we wanted to use this as an illustration for something very important that we're going to talk about on this date, and that is integrity and the importance of keeping our life on course and telling the truth. Every boat has a compass. This instrument panel is much more elaborate than a lot of boats have, but most good mariners need a compass to tell them where they're going. And you know, if we were taking this boat, which is built for the high seas from Miami to the Bahamas, and we were off just we'll just say 2 degrees as we left Miami, we probably end up in Cuba in no time. So, you know, the littlest, slightest amount of being off course, 1 or 2 degrees makes a huge difference. And the same is true in our marriages and in our integrity and being truthful with one another. You know, we tell a little lie here, a little white lie there. We don't share something here, we don't share something there. And before long, our marriage can end up in a place where we don't want it to be. Welcome back to Fan to Flame Dates. We've just talked about how being off course by as little as 1 or 2 degrees in our compass reading can lead us to some places where we don't want to go. On this date, we're going to explore the importance of maintaining integrity in our marriages. But let me start by defining what integrity is. You know, there are 2 aspects to this word integrity. The first has to do with a condition or state of being. The integrity of a structure has to do with the quality or its condition of being whole or undivided and complete. And it's a state of being unimpaired, undamaged, or structurally sound. How's that for a Webster dictionary? You know, a structure loses its integrity when something damages its structural soundness or breaks the foundation or load-bearing supports to the point where it becomes uninhabitable and on the verge of collapse. You know, recently in our area we had a little incident that illustrates this point beautifully. A tanker was going too fast around the turn on a bridge and flipped over, and it ignited, just exploded, and fire all over the place, great heat. And once everything subsided and dropped down, the engineers went in and they inspected for the integrity of the bridge, and they found that the heat from that flame was so intense that the integrity of the steel was damaged, and that bridge is going to have to be taken down and replaced. If we replace the idea of a structure in the definition we've just been looking at and insert the idea of a marital relationship, we would see that integrity in marriage is an undivided relationship. There are no cracks or breaks in the commitment foundation, nothing separating the husband and wife. The relationship is in the state of being unbroken and on firm footing. It's usually happily inhabited, and there's no fear of it collapsing. You know, when a marriage loses its integrity, it too becomes unstable, wobbly, and uninhabitable, and ready to collapse. Its occupants are going to need to do an inspection to see where the integrity issue causing the instability is lurking. Have we been less than honest with each other about the money we've been spending, or the feelings that we're having, or the schedules that we're keeping? The second aspect of integrity's definition has to do with a character quality or a character trait. When a person has integrity, it means that they're upright, they're honest, they're sincere in all that they do. They're acting justly and honorably, and they put duty and their sound moral and biblical principles above everything else that they do. These folks are completely trustworthy and capable of being, you know, false to a trust or a promise or a responsibility that they've wanted to keep. Their life is free from error, and they're morally sound. Well, why is integrity so important to your marriage? Well, first and most importantly, we can't experience the intimacy that God wants us to enjoy in our marriage without integrity. Because true intimacy can only happen when we're totally and transparently honest about what we're really thinking, feeling, and doing. If you can't tell your spouse that you're not happy with a certain aspect of your relationship, let's say maybe your spending habits or your eating habits, or that you're feeling like you're parenting all by yourself, you're not going to experience the intimacy God wants you to enjoy. Second, your marriage can't have structural integrity if it lacks character integrity. Strong structures can't be built with faulty materials. Strong marriages can't be built with faulty partners. What are some ways that couples experience a breakdown in integrity within their marriages? Well, probably one of the biggest ways is by keeping secrets. Secrets are those things, those facts, those thoughts, or those actions that are intentionally kept hidden from someone so that they're unknown. In the case of your marriage, that person would be your spouse. Well, how do we as couples hide from each other? Well, we hide purchases that we've made, or we delete emails or text messages or bills or passwords on our computer. Or maybe we don't talk about relationships that we're having with members of the opposite sex. The problem is when these secrets surface, and they usually do, they will have eroded the foundational trust to the point that it has severely weakened the marriage. Let's stop and think for a second. When did Adam and Eve hide from each other? We find it there in Genesis chapter 3. After they both sinned, they hid their nakedness from one another, and they both hid from God. What was once a totally open and honest relationship now had become infected with fear and shame, which led to their hiding. We can easily deduce that keeping secrets from our spouses is a sin, and not what God has intended for us to experience. He created marriage to be that naked relationship where we know all there is to know about one another. There is no secret. So keeping secrets is one way to compromise the integrity of our marriage, and it's related to the second way we want to talk about, telling lies. Now, a lie is an intentionally false statement or a deliberate withholding of the truth. Notice those words. It's deliberate, and it's untrue, and it's meant to deceive. Lying is going to weaken any relationship, and depending on the extent and frequency, can eventually break a marriage. So why do we keep secrets from each other? Why do we lie to each other? I see several reasons why that may happen. Number one is fear. That's the top of the list. We're afraid of the consequences. We're afraid of disappointing, hurting, or even being rejected by or losing our spouse. We hide our true feelings, how we're really feeling about those in-laws or the outlaws or about each other's friends or about our being happy with certain aspects of our relationship when we really aren't happy about them at all. We lie to avoid anger or displeasure or any kind of emotional hassle. I don't want my spouse yelling at me. I want a happy relationship. The second reason why we might keep secrets and lie is because of arrogance. We think that we are never at fault. I shouldn't have to deal with the consequences of my poor behavior. I'm better than my spouse. I don't want to be embarrassed. I need to remain in control, and I'm managing my reputation. Sometimes we lie to show that we care, that we're a great spouse, and we tell those little white lies. You know, honey, that outfit looks nice on you. Or she says, well, you did a great job on that project and presentation. The third reason why we might lie and hold secrets is because of selfishness. It's all about me, and the truth may get in the way of what I want. I don't want emotional hassles. I don't want conflict. I don't want to be responsible for the wrong decisions that I make. I don't want to have to suffer at all. I don't want to have to pay any consequences for my actions or behavior. You know, so we lie to spare our spouse some pain or worry because that would bring pain and worry to us, and we're protecting our spouse from feeling badly, or we're trying to support him or her by saying those little white lies. And while that sounds like they may be an act of love, we're really protecting ourselves from having to deal with a spouse who's in a bad mood or in a lousy state of mind. So what does keeping secrets and lying do to a marriage? Well, first of all, they break trust. Integrity in relationships is built on trust, and trust is built on truth. So if we catch our spouse keeping secrets and telling lies, we lose our faith and trust in him or her. And without trust, there can be no intimacy, no romance. And if it continues to go unchecked, there'll probably be no relationship left. Someone has said trust is like paper. Once it's crumpled up, it can never be restored again to perfection. You can flatten it out all you want, but the signs and scars of the damage will always remain. And if the paper keeps getting crunched over and over again, it's going to become even more impossible to restore it. You know, we live in a culture filled with people who have trust issues. Some of you have parents whose marriages ended in divorce, and you hear about infidelity on a regular basis and how our friends and colleagues are failing and letting us down. And those trust issues bleed into our relationships and our marriage, making us more suspicious of one another as husbands and wives. The second consequence of secrets and lies is that they shatter the security that we enjoy. When we lose trust, we question everything. We don't feel safe, and we begin to ask ourselves, what else don't I know about? What else is going on? And we feel that our relationship might be in danger, and we begin to doubt, and we begin to get anxious, and we're afraid, and the confidence that we had in our partner is gone. Third negative outcome of lies and secrets is that it reduces respect. Respect is that feeling of being appreciated, regarded, honored, and esteemed. It's a willingness to show consideration and appreciation to someone. So how does lying reduce respect? Well, let's think. It's realizing that your spouse doesn't consider you worthy enough of knowing the truth and handling the truth. It really says, I don't appreciate you or regard you or honor you or esteem you enough to tell you the truth. Now, here at Fan to Flame Dates, we believe that God created man and woman in His image, and that He designed and built that marriage relationship to reflect His character, His nature, and His love. That means our marriages should reflect the very nature and character of God for all of our family, friends, and even foes to see. And if there is one thing we know about the character and nature of God, it's that there is no deceit in Him at all. He cannot lie. He is truth, and He hates secrets and lies. You know, the Bible tells us in Deuteronomy, "For the Lord your God detests anyone who deals dishonestly." Deuteronomy 25:16. You know, the Bible's also clear about who the source of the lie is. In John 8:44, Jesus tells us that it's the devil, and there's no truth in him, and when he lies, he speaks his native language, for he is a liar and the father of lies. Now, if God feels that way about lying, shouldn't we? Instead, Paul tells us to speak the truth in love to one another so that we will grow up in all things into Him who is the head, and that is Christ, Ephesians 4:15. And then a fun little proverb in 16:13. Kings, and I might add here spouses, take pleasure in honest lips. They value a man or a woman who speaks the truth. Well, maybe trust has been broken in your relationship. How would we start to rebuild that trust? Well, the first thing we need to do is make a decision to unconditionally love our partner and to stay in this relationship. Secondly, we want to acknowledge and share your hurt with your spouse. Let them know that the lack of trust has affected your relationship. Third, we want to make a decision to forgive, even if all your feelings aren't there yet. Decision of forgiveness is vital so that your spouse will keep on working. Fourth, develop a plan of accountability. How are you both going to monitor that area where integrity has been violated? Let's say it's been in the area of spending, and we want to sit down together every month when the bank statement comes in and the credit card statements come in and go over them together. And then finally, we want to renew our commitment to integrity. And then pray and ask God to give you the wisdom and the power to follow through on this plan of accountability that you've set. The bottom line, trust is a decision. If we sow distrust and disrespect and insecurity into our marriage, we're going to reap the consequences of that lack of integrity. If we sow openness, honesty, and trust into our marriages, we're going to reap the benefits of that integrity. So now it's time for the most important part of these Fan the Flame dates. That's the time when you and your spouse get together in what we like to call our knee-to-knee, nose-to-nose position. Literally turn so that you're facing each other, and if you want to touch your knees and touch your noses, hey, have a little fun. But be sure you go out and download the date docket with the knee-to-knee, nose-to-nose questions in it. And those questions are going to help you do a little evaluation in terms of how is the integrity in your marriage, how are the trust issues in your marriage, and we're going to look at some ways that you can help build trust into your marriage.